Hello, hello. Can you hear me okay? I cannot hear you.
I think I've been talking the whole time. I think I've been talking the whole time while I was on mute.
Oh,
Welcome to Two Brothers and an Idea, everybody. I'm Ferdinand, your host, and I got a special guest in the building. This is Kezia from Young Investors Group. She is doing amazing things out there in Chesapeake, Virginia, getting our children financial literacy, helping them achieve their dreams. Let's bring her to the stage, y'all. If I had an audience, I'm telling everybody to clap. How you doing?
yes, yes, yes. Thank you for having me. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great. So it's great that you're here. Thank you so much. So today we're talking about intimate relationship conflict resolution, right? So there's so many of us who are in some type of a relationship. We're married. We may live together. Any of these types of relationships, but we're running into conflict from time to time, and that's natural. That happens. What are some of the ways that you go about handling conflict resolution?
So I always said that whenever I'm a part of like organizations and things like that, I always say that it's important to do therapy. I mean, therapy is good individually, so you can become self-aware. I think whenever I meet people and whatever the situation is, whether it be romantic or platonic, I always want to identify like how they process challenging situations, meaning how emotionally intelligent they are, like how they act or how they react whenever their back is up against the wall. So the first step for me to conflict resolution is really know who it is that I am in contact with, right? Or I'm in conflict with. And the other thing is just really asking questions and like identifying what the issue is. Most people, when they are in conflict with someone, they will oftentimes just point their finger at the other person. But when you are self aware, you can identify like what part that you take in a situation. And oftentimes, if you identify what you are in control of, then you're able to manage a conflict a little more easily. So that's kind of how I handle it. I literally just look at what area of opportunity that I could have done something better, and then I move from there because you can't control anybody but yourself. You're on mute.
This thing just keep throwing me on mute. I gotta look. I gotta keep an eye on that microphone. But yeah,
Yeah.
we run into all kinds of different problems, and we do have to pay attention to self. What is self
Mhm.
doing? What is self thinking? What is self communicating? What is self eating? What kind of activities is self doing? And when we understand self, we're honestly able to have a lot more control over
Yeah.
situations that involve more than just self. But
Well, I mean,
we got another guest in the building. Hold
oh,
on, just
okay.
one
Yeah.
second. We gonna come right back. We got another guest in the building, Sierra Rain. Hey, she's doing some amazing things out there, making jewelry and all of her other business ventures. Let's bring her to the stage. Where you at, Miss Sierra? You out there?
I'm here, Ferdinand. What's good
Oh,
with you?
okay. Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. So, hey, so we're talking about relationship conflict, and oh, you know what? Before we dive even deeper, we got our co-host in the building, Mr. Teton. Uh, let's bring him to the stage. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
You know what? I'm doing. Listen, listen. If I was in Virginia, I'll be on perfect timing. But I'm in Dallas, so I apologize to you all, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm hoping the conversation will continue on. Right. So peace and love,
Hey,
everyone.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have you, brother. So we got so Teton, I want you to meet the amazing Kezia Nicole from Young Investors Group. She's doing amazing things in Chesapeake, Virginia. All of y'all out there, hit the comments, show Kezia some love. She's out there doing for our children what everybody out there that's leaders needs to be doing in their communities. She's teaching them financial literacy and much, much more than that. And then we also got Miss Sierra in the building. She makes jewelry and does quite a few other things.
Okay. All right. Well, pleasure to meet you, ladies. And I commend you for your efforts and what you're doing in the community. It's outstanding work. So salute to you both.
Thank you. You're in my hometown. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Well, as my father would once say, I ain't from Dallas, but I got here as fast as I could. How about that one?
That's what's up. Thank you.
I love it, though. It's a great place to be. I enjoy the weather and some still getting used to. I'm out in DeSoto, so it's a lot to still get used to. But I appreciate your hometown, Dallas, Texas.
Hey, so Miss Kezia, you was about to give us something? You was about to tell us something?
Say, it really depends on who we're talking about conflict, right? So what I found with women, when women are around each other a lot and they are on the same like moon cycle, oftentimes I have to check myself, like especially if I'm like easily irritated, because sometimes like I can be more confrontational when my energy is different, or when I'm hormonally different. Like, where is it, like if I'm not hormonal, then somebody say something to me, I'll be like, whatever, it is what it is. But if I'm in a sensitive moment, sometimes it can be like a raw type of attitude, and it doesn't have to necessarily be like where I'm using profanity or anything like that. It's just like I'm just snappy, like I just like I don't care about that, or I ignore them, or whatever the case may be. And so what I find when it comes to women, when they're around each other and they're on the same moon cycle, sometimes conflict can happen, and sometimes you have to take a step back and say, all right, where is this coming from? Am I a little more irritable because it's that time of the month, or is it that really this person is really getting under my skin? So I think, again, back to knowing thyself, and being self-aware of your mood swings or things that may impact you having a lower tolerance. It's very important to think about.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I want to bring somebody else to the stage. I want to bring a very, very special guest to the stage. Okay. This is one of my teachers. Okay. I went to the Defense Information School many, many times, but the very last class that I took was called the Digital Multimedia course. And I learned so many different programs in Adobe that I had never learned before. And it's because of this woman right here, Batty Laddie, Andrea Bats Latin. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Can you guys hear me?
It's good to see you. It's been a long time. How you been doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Busy teaching, and I miss teaching at Denfo, so I don't teach there anymore. But I do manage the website for them, the Pavilion website. So
yes,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, just so y'all know, this is the Adobe Master right here. Okay, at those Adobe Max conferences and stuff like that, this is one of the keynote speakers. Okay, she is one of the best on the planet at anything multimedia. All right, so y'all make sure y'all get in touch with Batty Laddie. Go find her on Facebook, on Instagram. Go find her on all the platforms. Y'all make sure y'all exchange numbers and everything during this, right? Because this is a powerful woman right here. Hey, Batty Laddie, how long have you been married?
Oh my goodness. We were married 20. This will be 20. Hold on. DJ is 26. So this will be 26 years this year.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank
you. That's
you.
Amazing. And so being married that long, yeah, you've probably seen everything. What are some of the ways that you've worked through conflict resolution with your husband?
Patience. I think that is number one. Being extremely patient. Also listening, and as much as I love to say that I listen all the time, and there are times when it's someone that's that close to you, sometimes you just don't want to hear it, and that's why I say patience. You really have to have that patience that you would give somebody else with with your spouse. So to me, patience is number one. Communication. and also knowing how each of you perceive your communication. For instance, if he were to come in and say something like, don't do that. Well, you know what I mean? If you're just saying don't do that and you don't have anything behind it, then I might get offended by that. And then my initial response might be, you don't tell me what to do. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it might be something like that. But so learning how he accepts things, learning how I accept things, I think was a big thing. And that all involves communication. I know you guys are tired of hearing communication, but I guarantee you it is the number one thing that either makes or breaks a marriage, and there are other things too. But if you think about it, they talk about money is the root of all evil. Communication is involved in everything that you do when you're trying to be involved in a relationship.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I agree with you that communication is major in a relationship. So it's Miss Sierra. We haven't heard from you yet. What are some of the ways that you handle conflict resolution in your intimate relationships?
So like she said, mainly communication, but it's learning how your better half can receive. Females are we're natural receivers. So what we like how the first sister spoke on being around a crowd of females. That's why they can it's like chickens in a hen coop. Like if it's everybody at one time, just we're all emotional and we're all just trying to receive something, but can't nobody hear everything and everything gets a little crazy and a little emotional. That's when things can get out of balance. So being able to receive somebody well is going to have to be a great form. So it has to be communication, but you have to be able to ground yourself because you have to be able to take what somebody says to you for full force. What they call love language, like how you're able to accept somebody's love or how you're able to want to receive their love has to kind of match, and you got to kind of in sync with that person, because what you think you might be doing something right is something they don't even see as something right. You could say, hey, I bought you this gift though. Like, this is a gift. I say I'm sorry, but I don't like gifts. I don't care that you saying sorry. My love language is communicate with me, talk with me, ground with me, work with me. So you have to know what that person's balance is, and they have to learn yours. But like she said, it's all communication. We're natural magnetizers, so we got to start to stem that through. So I think that's pretty much it.
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hey,
Yeah.
Tetaun, what's
Yes,
up,
sir.
man? How do we handle the conflict, man, in our marriages?
First off, I think the women have said a lot of things that are very important, and I think get overlooked. For men, communication is important. I think a lot of times we forget about the importance of just listening, right? And we do hear the conversation that sometimes we're listening to respond, but there are a lot of layers of things that we lose sight on when it comes to a disagreeable moment. And some of the times I try to make sure and emphasize importance that I'm not your enemy, right? That's number one. We are partners. We are one. We're in a relationship together. We are family. And so whatever that I'm communicating, the intent doesn't always necessarily hits the impact or become the impact of what you're trying to do. But the idea is to be very transparent about what you're communicating and then understanding the person that you're communicating to, right? So if I'm communing with you to get to a place, we both have to work together. And some of the mistakes that I have found was that I wanted to correct a point or be able to insert my point when I'm thinking I'm hearing something, but I'm actually feeling something, but I'm not really hearing what I'm feeling. And sometimes I'm creating a film in my head and the film is all jacked up. It's the wrong story. And so you got to know your partner. You got to know their buttons. You got to know that, for example, if your wife isn't, like she mentioned, very emotional and expressive, then you got to understand she's like water. So I got to find the right tide to be able to communicate something very healthy, intentional, but not to harm her, not to use words and certain sounds and tones that we're using because we're angry. So it's best to kind of not communicate when you're angry, right? And find time and find place to have a healthy conversation because you want to understand, you want to learn, and you don't want to have to keep revisiting those hiccups. that you keep bumping into because one fails to listen and understand that other person that needs to express that feeling or emotion. So that's just my experiences on it.
I think that's a very valid point. I think the listening is so important.
Yeah.
We've got to listen for more than just to respond.
Yeah.
We got to listen to understand, as you were saying,
Yeah.
but we also got to listen for virtues. We've got to listen for we've got to listen for love. We've got to listen for sadness. We've got to listen for triumph. We've got to listen for defeat. We've got to be able to hear those things so that we can understand the suffering that a person is dealing with, and then that helps us to really know how to move forward if we are operating in the proper amount of empathy, compassion, and love.
You know, one of the things that my wife and I did, we were able to go, I took her to the coffee shop. One day we had a disagreement, didn't agree on a particular topic. So we sat down, and the idea was to sit down and just kind of write out your triggers or things that bother you or things that, those hot buttons. And so to be able to sit down and write that thing down, and we compare our notes and we share notes, and now it's at the front of my frontal lobe, right? When I'm communicating in distress, or if I'm communicating an issue or problem, I know now that, hey, there's a certain kind of, I'm not going to say it like this, so I'm not going to express it like this. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it's good to constantly have these conversations to better help develop a healthy way of dealing with conflict. And, we all been through conflict resolution classes and all that cool stuff, but, it's always good to be in a position to keep learning your partner. And I don't think we always get it, right? So to have this kind of dialogue and not knowing that I'm not in relationship with these women, so why am I spending energy trying to learn how to communicate with these women when I need to learn the woman that I'm with and study her as she studies me? And so that's what I appreciate about these types of conversations.
For sure.
So Miss Kezia, what you got to say about that?
Yeah, I definitely want to piggyback off of what he said. I think that me personally, like, I don't know about nobody else, but there are some people that I conflict well with, and there are some people that I don't conflict well with. And again, I know myself, so I know that when I communicate with this person, because this person is a little more calm, like I know that they're gonna sit back and they're gonna let me talk, right? I know this other person is gonna interrupt me because they get excited whenever we're in a conversation, and then it end up being conflicts. But yeah, definitely establishing intention. Like, whenever I first meet someone, I'll say, hey, at some point you and I are gonna rub each other the wrong way. I just want you to know that this is my intention. My intention is not to be this way. Sometimes, and I give them just a disclaimer to say, like, this is what you can expect from me, because sometimes I will interrupt you if I get too excited, right? And so that way they won't take offense to it, because I've already explained to them that sometimes so it's like literally setting the intention within the communication. The second thing is that first time you get into it with someone, there may be a rhythm. So like I was telling my daughter one time, right? Like, so me and her was beefing or whatever. And I was like, she was like, I don't like the way that you talk to me. Like, you explain too long. And I said, well, if you know the rhythm in which I talk, I give at least 2 examples before I get to the real. Because I'm like, yo, back in the day, the old people used to lecture us, you know what I'm saying, for a long, long time. She's like, I need to get straight to the point, get straight to the point. And I'm like, if you know my rhythm, I'm going to give you 2 examples before I get to the final example. And so she's learning my rhythm. She understands my intention. It's not to bore her to death, but it's to, give her multiple examples that she can connect with. And then, like he said, triggers. That was actually what I was going to say. Most people aren't level-headed when they're beefing with somebody. Like, it's one moment, by the time it gets to the top, right, and it's an actual conflict, not everybody is thinking plainly and thinking, right. Yes, well, I'm gonna not be in conflict and I'm gonna communicate. Right. Like, nah, you hot. You know what I'm saying? You hot. So literally practicing. Once you get to the point where you calm down, take yourself through that emotion again so that you can practice the next time that you feel that way, that you know how to react. Because that's just what it is. I mean, all of the what do you like, the book stuff is great, you know, love languages and all that is good, especially when you learning yourself. But when you in mid heat and you literally are into it with somebody, those are the moments that you really have to step back and understand how to manage conflict.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Yes.
Hey, Batty Laddie, what you think about that?
Oh, I agree. I was sitting here nodding, but so like my son, I have he's 19 and he's in his first real relationship, and they're going through things, and watching him and talking to him about like communication and different things. It's just it's amazing because it's you know, dating is different. You know, each generation it gets different, and now it just seems that almost anything that happens at the end of the world for for his age. I know for where they are, and the smallest argument just seems like this huge thing, and I'm like, well, what was her side, and what was, and what was your side, and what was your response to that? And so what I'm saying to him a lot of times are, can you see her point of view? I can see your point of view and I understand it, but can you see her point of view? Maybe, this was different in her life. Maybe that was different. And that's the other thing. You have to look at all external factors, right? We weren't all raised in the same household. We weren't all raised with the same values. So these two different, people from different backgrounds trying to come together, there's a lot of conflicts, you know what I mean, that are going to happen. Two people trying to live together. You trying to live with a sibling is crazy, you know what I mean? And now you're trying to live with somebody who you haven't lived with your entire life. So it is super important to listen. It is super important to understand how we each accept, any communication that we're trying to say is super important. To, you had a hard day at work, right? And then you come in and you're angry about that hard day at work. You got to be able to separate that and understand, okay, now I'm at home. She may have had a hard day, you know what I mean, as well. Right. And so now both of us are sitting up here upset about something that, and neither of us even understands what we're upset about. Right. I was listening to David and Tamala Mann. They have this, they talk about their relationships and, infidelity and different things that happen. And one of the chapters in their devotional talks about, it's called A Peanut Butter and Jelly Sandwich. And you're like, what? And you see that and it shocks you. But what it's talking about is he was angry, and all of they're angry because she didn't fix him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But in the end, you find out it wasn't even about that. It was about something that he was dealing with and something that she was dealing with. But the peanut butter and jelly sandwich was just a vessel at that moment that, you know what I mean, that they could blame it on. And it had nothing to do with that. So understanding that, like a lot of times when they're riled up, I'll say, or if my husband, if he's, upset about something, and before I take it personal, I'll say, hey, what happened? Like, how are you? What's going on? Because this has nothing to do with, what we're dealing with. Something is going on. And then because before though, when I was younger in the relationship, I'm coming back at him. Right. And so you just got these two people going at each other and it makes no sense. Right. But now, now I'm like, oh, okay, wait, something's wrong. That's the issue. And so I think that a lot of that we have to be able to talk about reading the room, but we have to be able to read each other, because, we could be 100% amazing at work or wherever else we are. And then you come home in your, in that personal space and it's just like, and so you have to be able to understand that. And you have to be able to, if you want peace and you want, an awesome relationship that's two-way, not one way. You have to be able to understand each other,
Yes.
What you got, Miss Sierra? I hear you.
Literally, because I'm literally like, you have to learn to accept what somebody says to you. Like, you have to take what they're saying because they see you outside of you. They see
That's
you for who you are. You can't fully see you 100% because you think you're right most of the time. And you think that your opinion matters better or more most of the time. And when someone comes at you and say, look, you're acting nasty right now. No, I'm not. How dare you say I'm like, you become defensive. And then that brings on more of an argument or more of a something. So she literally hit that nail when she said, yeah, you got to take what somebody says for face value because that's you. That's you too. And you have to learn more about you. Having children just self will definitely teach you that, but the relationship is going to make you learn that. Having an intimate relationship is going to make you learn that because you and that partner are connected. Y'all are not just physically connected, y'all are soul connected. There's a soul tie there. So outside of me is you and outside of you is me. And I used to argue with my husband. We'll sit there and say, there's three sides. There's my truth, your truth, and the real truth. And we got to figure this out. Like, because I'm going to bed happy today and so are you. And I'm not trying to hear that. So that's exactly what that means. And I'm happy that she said that. You have to accept what somebody says to you. And that's the work though. But that's the work. And a lot of people will leave at that point, or they don't want to finish their relationship at that point because they can't see or take what somebody says outside of them for face value because they've been living under their facade for so long, believing it.
I can really dig that. I really appreciate that. So hey, so we're about to kind of segue and move into a topic about quality time management within these intimate relationships and how we do better with that. But before we go into that, we got to show some love to Miss Kezia. And we gotta give you a couple of minutes so you can tell us, how we can support Young Investors Group, what we can do to be a part of your movement, how we can help to serve.
Awesome. Thank you for this time. I wasn't expecting that. Well, let me first say what Young Investors Group is. Young Investors Group is a nonprofit 501c organization. We've been around for going on 6 years. We work with young people that are in low income and high crime zip codes, specifically youth that are going through the juvenile justice system. So we have a juvenile justice fund. And we also teach young people between the ages of 12 to 21 years old about finance and technology. So, and we do that. Some of the great things that our young people have done is they had an opportunity to sell a home. We did what we call a dealership takeover, where the young people had a chance to take over a whole entire dealership. They underwrote loans. They had an opportunity to sell vehicles and understand the back end of how they are being judged financially. One thing that we do understand is that young people do better when they're hands on. And so we teach them finances from not a consumer side, but a professional side to give them the cheat code, right? So they'll learn the cheat code. So some of the things that you can do if you want to support Young Investors Group, we have an opportunity for you to volunteer. We're looking for coaches. We're looking for people to help raise awareness, ambassadors. You can always go to younginvestorsgroup.org. You can look us up on Instagram, Facebook. Um, we're not on TikTok yet. We're going to get there. And Twitter, we're on Twitter, or you can just go to our website. Just this past April, we had a chance to have one of our youth and family investment conference called InvestaCon. So it's a mix between investment conference and Comic Con, where young people had a chance to just participate in different activities to learn about wealth management, which is life insurance, stock market investment, and real estate. And then they also had a chance to learn about trademark and patents, where we had the United States Trademark and Patent Office. Microsoft came out. We had a music producer, Hannah and Lane, to talk about how when they design their own video games, how they can trademark the work that they're doing, how they can patent and copyright the music, and then integrate it into the video games that they create. So we had some amazing speakers in April at 2024 InvestaCon. So thank you all for listening, and I hope for everyone to connect.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. That is awesome.
Thank you. Really appreciate you for coming through.
That's dope.
Hey, if you ever want to expand that to graphics, I'm just saying, I'd like to come out and teach them.
Oh, we
Good time.
already there. We got the suite already. We got the
Okay.
whole suite. Come on through.
Yes.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. I love
All right,
it.
thank you so much, Miss Kezia. You take care and keep doing that great work that you're doing, and we're gonna keep supporting you.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and dive into quality time management within within the conflict resolution, right? Excuse me, not time management. Quality time usage or time. Yeah, I guess it would be time management within not necessarily sex, but let's say maybe there's a walk that a couple takes. Maybe they read a book together. Maybe they go sit at the beach and have a talk, right? Because I do believe that couples need to grow together. Everybody is growing in their own direction. But
Right.
if there's an intimate relationship where those two people matter to each other, there needs to be a certain amount of growth that they do together, in my opinion. Does anybody, how do y'all feel about that?
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mo-
I go ahead. Whoever.
Oh, no, go ahead, baby. Go ahead first.
No, I agree with that. I know that like I said, I counsel the youth, so I'm counseling my son all the time and talking about like the different things. But I was trying to tell him that like I had to learn that my husband, he always wants to go to movies. He loves movies, he loves TV, and I would be like, I don't want to go, take the kids, this, that, and other. So I had to, and one time I was like, oh, I don't want to go, I want to do such and such. And I saw that he really, really wanted me, you know what I mean? Like he really wanted me to go. And I saw it in his face and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll go, And so I started going to the movies with him. I started, and that started being our thing. Like he loves it. And the kids are grown now, and that's something that he loves doing with me because he loves his, favorite movies. He loves me, and so both of us going together, he cherishes that. And I had to realize that, that's something that whether I wanted to do it or not, but I always end up having a good time. So, but I always feel like I got something else to do, right? I got this thing to learn, or I got this to do or that to do, and then where did he fit in? So quality time is super important, and just figuring out what each of you like. You definitely need to participate.
Facts, absolutely. Hey, brother Tetaun, what you got?
I agree. I think quality time is important. I think for me, there's been moments where I didn't really want to do nothing. I didn't feel like we're dealing with no kids, no dogs. But what I found, what was important to my wife, and what was important to the circumstance was my presence. And what I had to learn is, I had this thing about facial expressions, and it's been a part of my whole life. You could be thinking, and then those who are creators, you could be thinking about a million things, and in the moment, your face will contort. What you looking like that for? What's wrong with you? What's the problem? And you just be like, what? And so what I had to learn was, okay, like the sister said, you may see yourself this way, you may see your quality time this way, but there's a greater need. And so what I learned to do is I learned to listen to those things that may be a problem, whether I agree with it or not, and find myself in those spaces that are important. Like sister said, she didn't feel like participating, but she knew by the continence of her husband that it was a necessary need. And so I think that's a jewel that we should all take a part of, because sometimes that little thing, that little bitty thing that you do, means a whole lot to that person, and it may not mean as much to you. But if you want the best healthy culture, you have to cultivate the climate.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make sure that atmosphere is healthy by how you're communicating, not only to your spouse, but communicating to your plants, to your dogs, to your kids, even what you're thinking about in your own head, right? Sometimes we're communicating things in our mind, and sometimes those become parts of conversations that are not even connected to the problem or the solution. That means we're still compartmentalizing or overthinking. And I think that's a danger And we got to be careful with the overthinking and over processing things that may not be as necessary.
I almost said amen.
Yes,
I know.
right. Preaching in here. I was like, you preaching, right?
I'm just talking my experience. Might have made some mistakes.
Right. Exactly. Like the
Yeah,
literally piggyback off of both of them, like how you said, like walking on the beach or something. Like I'm a hairstylist, so I hear different types of people and how they deal with different types of things. I'm a little therapist, so I hear it too. Um, I'm like the tree hugger, nature lover, and my husband is not. Where I'm like, I need to go zen out in nature. I need to get the sunlight. I want to sit out there and just be by myself sometimes, or I need you with me. Just come with me. And when I get that no, or I don't feel like it, that will trigger that. Well, I'm over here playing video games with you to connect with you, and you can't connect with me. So, why I can't come outside, what I'm saying? It'll be like that sometimes. And you just have to learn literally what makes that person happy. It could be something simple. With him, it's anime and video games. And I had to step outside of my realm and go, okay, this feels low level to me. But when I am in that element with him, it don't feel low level at all. I feel more connected to him than I ever have because this is his then out moment. This is where he grounds himself. This is where he stops work, chatter, kids, me. He puts all me down, all the kids down, and this is where he can focus on him. This is how he learns. This is where he can thrive for a minute. And you literally have to just accept that and grow with that. And you realize that they love you more when you're in their element. And they will definitely appreciate you more because you took time out of your day or you took time out of your moment to come accept their moment. And it does make you feel a lot closer to them. So I understand that a lot.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that measure.
Yeah.
I think that quality time is something that it's different for every couple. But like I said, it goes back to growing together. This is a part of that equally yoked statement that we hear a whole lot about that I don't think is unpacked. In the words of Tetaun, I don't think it's unpacked very well. But I do think that's something that we should unpack now, because when we're talking about a yoke, equally yoked, we need to be like what I talked to you about, Tetaun, in the recent past. I was like, yo, man, like it feels like a binary star system, like we're in orbit, right? Well, this is what men and women are doing, in my opinion, right? They're in their own orbit, right? They're stars orbiting each other, right? And they're pulling and pushing at the same time, right? Well, how do we do that in harmony? How do we do that in peace? How do we do that in a way where we give the next generation generational wealth? Because they're going to have to go through the same process, but maybe we could give them a few jewels and gems along the way. But how do we do that? We do that through demonstration, right? What you think, Batty Laddie?
Definitely demonstration. Yeah. I think, you have to be aware all the time that ears are listening. I'm always saying that ears are listening, eyes are watching. And I used to say, to girlfriends or whatever who were having different difficulties and stuff, I would say, they are making that relationship. You know what I mean? So whatever happens, if you guys don't get along. Sorry, my son just walked in.
It's all good. What's up, homie? Hope you doing good.
Hey, hold on, let's see. Bring your face to me.
Hey, I love your mom, bro.
You love me too?
Yeah.
I told him about you. But like, yeah, he'll tell us all the time too. But I always say to my friends, I would say, what you guys are making of that relationship, you're making it, what I mean? Whatever you're making of that relationship, he got me out the groove now. Look at that. But you're making that relationship. Everything that you do every single day, everything that you do in front of your kids, they're seeing it. you're, you know, they're learning from that, you know. Like my son will say, you know, I learned this from you, I learned that from you, or, you know, I want to be, you know, whatever. But but you're making that relationship, and everything that you do, they're always watching, and you have to be aware of that, because you're instilling in them all the values that they're going to take, you know, when they get older into their relationship. You know, so if you don't communicate, and if they see someone who all the time arguing, well, they think that that's normal life for them, arguing all the time. Well, that means that that's a relationship, that's love. If you're arguing with me, if I'm arguing with you, then I love you. If I hit you all the time, then that's showing that I love, you know what I mean? But whatever you do, you know, they're looking at you to see how to proceed in their life, you know, in their relationship with friends or whoever. So I'm always trying to be like, you know, I remember coming in the door one time, I was goodness, I was so upset, and I looked down and saw this little 4-year-old who was like, mommy, and all he wanted was his mommy. That was it. All he wanted was mommy is coming home. But for me, like the house, like I cleaned the house before I left, and I come in, and then this house is all in disarray. Then my husband was home with them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm just looking at the house, and I miss him. And then I looked down at him, and I saw his face. All he wanted was a hug from his mommy, because his mommy was coming through that door. And from that point, I kid you not, I was like, okay, you know, I see that first. I see, you know, that's the first thing I see. I make sure that, okay, you know, I read my room. You know, I read the room, and I hug him, and I, you know, but had I not been that person, all of my kids could have different, you know, outcomes and outlooks. So everything that we do, you know, they're watching. Their eyes always
Absolutely,
follow.
they're watching, and it's all about love, 100%. Hey,
Yeah.
so we about to segue again, right? We're about to talk about some healthy living practices to help us deal with that conflict resolution. But we're gonna go ahead and say goodbye to our ladies, Miss Sierra. Hey, why don't you go ahead and let us know how we can stay in contact with you, how we can help support your movement.
Yes. So like I said, I'm a hairstylist. I'm usually in salon most of the time, but I do have a website, beautifulintentions.llc.com. And you pretty much can support me just by pretty much telling others about my hair salon. I do other things like sell jewelry, sell body butters and scrubs and things like that for, you know, self-awareness, just to teach you to love on yourself. But other than that, hit the website up. Everything is on the website there. That's pretty much will connect you to me. To get in touch with me, I'm located in Kiln Creek, in Newport News, towards, you know, the Yorktown side of Virginia. And I pretty much just connect with everyone on that type of level. I have no problem talking to anyone on their personals. Many therapists, so I would say. That's about it. That's a little bit about me.
We're really thankful for you coming through. Thank you so much. You gave some great comments, some great information for us to take and build on, and you know, improve our community. So really appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you, Ferdinand. I appreciate y'all. It was so
You're
nice to
welcome.
meet y'all. For having me again.
All right, Batty Laddie, you got some websites or something you want us to go and support? What's up?
I do. I just changed my subhead so that's my YouTube channel. I am trying to build it up. And I just, you know, I do Adobe videos, I do web design videos, and things like that up on there. And at Christmas time, I do my Happy Christmas Weather Season, which is a whole thing on there. So, you know, follow me there. I'm also Happy HAPPIE 97 on all the medias. So that's pretty much how you can find me there. So,
awesome.
All right, listen, everybody out there. I know y'all hear me, okay? All right, Batty Laddie just gave y'all some information. Listen, go to the website, go subscribe, get on the YouTube, watch every video, and then after you watch them all, then play them again and send them all to all your friends. Y'all get out there and y'all support Batty Laddie. She's been doing some great things for the people for a very long time, and we need to support masters of this level. right? Because nobody knows about them, right? They're in the background. They're in the office, and it's quiet, and nobody knows they're in there for hours, 12, 18 hours. They're going hard. Listen, we need to support them because they out here doing that real work that nobody else sees, but we need that work that they're doing. So Batty Laddie, really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You. You too. Have a wonderful
All
day.
right.
See you
Same
guys.
to you.
Thank you.
I'll take care. All right, so Tetaun, we're about to jump into the healthy living section, the healthy living portion of the podcast. What is there some foods that you thinking we could implement in our relationships that will help us to deal with conflict?
Yeah, patience, meekness, kindness, long suffering. They're fruit.
I think you're onto something there.
So I think it's important to eat healthier. I've been a component of a lot of unhealthy eating over some years, and I think a lot of times if we don't take care of ourselves physically in terms of what we're eating, how we're eating, I am of the belief that it does impact us emotionally as well as mentally. And so imagine those types of chemicals and those kinds of parasites and those kinds of things that we're taking in, and how those things may impact how we see our experience, how we experience emotions, whether it's your sugar's too high, your blood sugar, whatever it may be, blood pressure, so forth and so on. So I just think it's really important to understand that when you talk about healthy living, it doesn't just start with the idea of physical fitness to the idea of having a smart brain, but it's mind, body, and soul. These three areas that we want to look at. So I think one, what you take in, you have to look at it and evaluate it. Is it really healthy? Is it doing me a service or a disservice?
I agree 100%, man. These are things that everything in our experience is what is helping to shape us into what we choose to become. But when we think about some foods that may help us to have better conflict resolution in our marriages and our relationships, I would say ashwagandha is a really great one. It's an adaptogenic herb, very good at helping us to kind of come up if we're too low. If we're a little too high, come down a little bit, and there's many other adaptogenic herbs. But ashwagandha is a very popular one. I would also say, maybe ginkgo biloba. There's a few other herbs that we could implement and we could put in our foods that would help to bring peace in the relationship, to help have to take away the brain fog, to be able to see the way forward, in righteousness, to be able to solve these problems. So I think that there's some things that we can do. There's also some things that we're doing that maybe is contributing to the conflict. Would you agree?
I will agree to that. I remember a time where I ate a lot of excessive fatty foods, a lot of fast food eating, lots and lots of burgers and pizzas and all that kind of thing. And it can potentially impact you on so many levels. Because again, even with how we handle emotion as it relates to the food. So if I'm dealing with a lot of resentment and bitterness and anger towards an individual or my wife or my husband in a relationship, commonly when you're dealing with that type of anger or disconnect, you want to isolate yourself, fight or flight. You go get you something to eat, and before you know it, you have an eating disorder. Now you just want to eat yourself away from your problems or your conflict. But I think when you are not responsible with what you put in your mouth, then you can't hold nobody accountable for what comes out of your mouth. Right? You can't hold, there's no accountability that will come out into your ears. That means you're starting to hear things differently because there's an unhealthy brain that sits below your lungs, as well as the brain that sits right here in your cranium. And so if we're not taking in the proper nutrition, enough sunlight, and I'm talking about imbalance. I'm not talking about going from one extreme to another, because it's a process to have better eating, better reading, things that I'm consuming, certain music that I'm consuming, believe it or not, entertainment, sometimes entertainment will enter into you and detain you, and whatever that's influencing that entertainment will detain you for entry. Now, what am I saying? You can summons what you serenade. So if you're listening to music that is full of pain and anger and you want a mood swing, then you go pop that CD in. That mood is going to swing you to wherever that mood is at and remind you in that mind stamp that I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm bitter. Now, what do? I'm going to McDonald's. I'm going to Cracker Barrel. And I'm going to eat the pain away. You get where I'm going?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Doritos used to be mine.
I still suffer a little bit.
Cool Ranch.
Right. Until they came out with the popcorn and the peanut butter flavor.
Oh,
you know,
man.
Look, the chitlin flavored Doritos. You know what I'm saying?
Chitlin Doritos.
I'm joking. But it's coming. It's coming. You know.
They got all kinds of flavors of these chips now, man. The wrap snacks. Oh, man.
You notice that you notice the dye, the R1, the R2. I mean, all the kinds of dyes. I mean, who knows? You used to get something that says orange, apple, banana, grape. Remember that? Now you got kiwi, coconut, hood flavor.
Every kind of flavor. The red. What kind of Kool-Aid you want? Red? Blue?
Yeah. But,
give me that green, though.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of commitment. But if you want something bad enough, I'm convinced that you will do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
That's a fact, man. That's a straight up fact. Yeah, man. You know, when it comes down to conflict resolution, you know, I've been married now for 9 years, and we've had multiple conflicts. And I think that one of the best lessons that I've learned from the conflicts that we've had and how to resolve them was for me to move in righteousness. No matter what was going on around me, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is I needed to just do what I was supposed to do the entire time, no matter who did what or whatever the situation was, and things kind of just pan out the way they're supposed to. The universal consciousness works the way it's supposed to in that space. And a person who is walking in that space is going to be divinely protected. No hurt, harm, or danger is going to come to that person, you know. So this is what I've learned the most, is to operate in maturity, accountability, responsibility, humility, and sacrifice. And operating in those 5 right there, it does not necessarily stop the problem from happening, but it fortifies you to be able to handle that problem with, no matter, you know, what your emotions or however your reactions may be. Those 5 will put you in a space where you will create a foundation that is dang near unbreakable.
Right.
What you think?
I agree. I agree with you 100%. I think too, for me as well, it's important for the individual, you know, to self-reflect on some of the things that you may have contributed to the conflict, right? I think that the self-reflection gives you time and space to take up inventory and really look at yourself, right? So there's many times I've been in conflict or disagreements, and I could be 100% correct. In my mind, I could be 100% correct. Through my lens, we're taking the same picture. Snap, snap. However, that person may be using a different shutter speed. That person may be using a different set of lighting. And so we can see the same thing, but have 2 different perspectives. And so if you're going to allow yourself to see that other person's perspective as well as you seeing yours, then you're able to find a common ground. Not to say that I took a better picture because I got a better camera and you don't have a good camera, and this is the way I see it, and this is the way it's supposed to be. Well, that's problematic number 1. Being able to communicate, being able to attend to the needs of someone else And so that's just the way I look at it, man. I have to really understand that people see things differently. I want to be able to operate in righteousness and understanding, but most importantly, be wise about how I handle certain situations, because as mentioned before, it's not so much of what somebody has done to you that's going to be seen, it's how you respond. Sometimes our response is what gets caught and becomes magnified, not what someone has done. So how do you handle that is to be able to make sure that you handle people as you want them to handle you. You handle them with righteousness. And even when they're not reciprocating that, you know that you've done the best that you could do to handle that person. Because at the end of the day, if they're human, they'll circle back and they'll figure it out, and they'll realize the consequences of the disrespect or the disconnect or the inability to connect in a healthy way no longer relies on you. Now that other person has to say, okay, maybe I should, you see where I'm going?
So, oh yeah, facts. 100%.
It's important to self-reflect and hold yourself accountable and love yourself through the process.
Yeah, man. You know, one of the things I used to do, honestly, well, I do most of my work from home these days. But one of the things I used to do when I was traveling for work was I come home and I park the car in the driveway, and I just sit there, you know, for a good 30, 45 minutes before I walk in the house. And that was always my time to reflect and to breathe and to just, you know, decompress from whatever may needed to have been decompressed from, or it may have just been time to think about my dreams or whatever, but it was time for me. And it was something that I didn't even do as a, I didn't even do it as like, you know, I even think it wasn't something I just tried. It was something I just did each day, you know, like sometimes you can schedule things. You know, you can schedule to do these things. I never scheduled it. I just pulled up to the house and like, all right, I'm here now. I'm sitting in the car. I ain't going nowhere. And made a habit of that throughout the years. And, you know, it opened up a lot of doors for insight, for that reflection that you're talking about.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, very blessed in that space to do something like that produces such a great result and not even really understand that you're doing it. You know, so those are some blessings that I've seen, and yeah. So I appreciate you bringing up the reflection angle, because that I think that matters a lot. I think we really need to sit down. More of us need to sit down and reflect, but we need to reflect in environments where there's no distractions. You know, there's no music, there's no tablets, TVs, there's no phones, there's none of that. There's just nature. Right. Or if it's not in nature, it's a room that's silent, you know, and that way we can have unobstructed views of, you know, the past, present, and future.
Right.
Yeah, that's a major part. But I think that we have come to the end of Two Brothers and an Idea. All right. So I'm Ferdinand.
I'm Tetaun.
Bringer of Ballot.
And the idea was what?
Oh, the idea is community building. We're focused on group economics. We're focused on taking melanation to the top where it belongs, and also to help all of mankind, right? Because we're not sitting here trying to be on the top and just don't care about nobody else. No, we love everybody, you know. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is make sure that melanation is being taken care of, and that's part of the job of the men. That's part of the job of the women. It's technically the job of everybody at the end of the day, right? But somebody has got to step out here and lead in these situations. And we've got a bunch of really amazing leaders out here that are doing this. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm very proud to see some of the brothers and some of the sisters that are out here stepping forward and providing leadership for melanation. So thank y'all very, very much. And we're just trying to walk, you know, not necessarily in y'all's shoes, but we just trying to walk in some of y'all's footprints right now. That's all that is. You know, we giving y'all the love right now.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it, man. And once again, man, this is always a great conversation. You know, and I think it's important for all of us, those that watch later or after the fact, is that anytime we have these kinds of conversations, it's with purpose. And I think
facts.
what we're communicating, although we may be on different idea spectrums, different thoughts, different opinions, and on multiple things, there's still a common theme that we can come together for the betterment of brotherhood, family, and community. And so if you have a story idea, you got a topic you want us to discuss, you got something that's on your heart to share, and you want us to expand it in further conversation, well, you know where to find us. You can shoot us an email. The email address will be up on the lower third, or you can check out the social media platforms where this content is stored. And we'll love to talk about some of that information, and again, no one knows everything, but we know something. So something plus something means many things. And so we can come together and build on an idea. I'm Tetaun, my man Ferdinand, and we're two brothers in the idea. Peace and love to you.
Expose your gift.